Hey guys, I'm working on my book, How the Web Was Won, Spills, Chills, and Thrills on the Early Information Superhighway by someone who was there. And by lucky coincidence, we had to do a huge organization project. I have two archives, right? That looks like three. There we go. Two archives. One is finished stuff, right? And I've got all that somewhat nicely organized in a storage unit, and it's a lot of stuff. And then I have the raw material. And the way I've been handling the raw material all my life is I have boxes, and when I'm done with something, I throw the raw material in a box. And when the box is full, right now, because you know where I live, I put it up in the attic. And so we've been here in this beautiful house in this beautiful village, which just gets to be a better deal all the time, since 2098, right? So it's coming up on it's 25 years. 25. I'm losing track of time. No, it's 25 years. Yeah, it's 99, whatever. We bought it in 98, moved in 99. So it's 25 years. So we literally had 25 years of boxes filled with random stuff. And we were doing a big home improvement thing here, which necessitated moving all the junk out of our attic, which was, I mean, I don't even know, like 30 garbage bags full of papers, some financial records, and all kinds of stuff, you know. And we drilled it down to something reasonable. And in the process of that, I discovered all this stuff that I had saved that I had no idea that I had. And I'm very excited about this because I tell a lot of stories, and um, I know they're true because, I live them, but I don't have anything tangible, or I didn't think I had tangible things to prove some of these things, right? So if you don't know me, I have been involved in online marketing since before the internet was a commercial thing. And I was legitimately one of the most significant people in the movement to commercialize the internet. And I'm going to tell you that story by, let's see if I can show you. This is the box of the good stuff. Now, doesn't seem like a lot, but this is the really good stuff, right? I still have some other boxes of stuff up there, but this is the noteworthy stuff. So I thought I'd go through it. It kind of is going to help me prepare my book, and you might find it interesting. I personally, and many of the smartest people I know, are really interested in the history of the industries that they're in. It's just useful information. You never know what can be reborn and reused, things that have been forgotten that actually are really powerful, trajectories, directions that things take. I mean, I can honestly say my knowledge of history has made me millions of dollars. Without my knowledge of history, I don't know what I'd be doing. I'd be guessing. So anyway, I just want to go through some of this history. So the first thing, interactive marketing, 92. All right. Now, just so you can orient yourselves, guys, there was nothing like a commercial internet until 94. Okay, there was online stuff, there was CompuServe, there were bulletin boards, but that was pretty um, uh, specialized stuff. There weren't a lot of people on those services. Okay. The big thing where all the money was going in 92, and I was living in San Francisco then, was digital. Everything was going to be digital, multimedia. And this was a thing on interactive marketing. And I wrote the ad copy for this. Yeah. Okay. This is the guy This is the guy that hired enough this. There we go. Hal Josephson. This is the guy that hired me to write this. Okay. And he was Mr. Multimedia. IBM and Apple and who's that other one? Microsoft all gave him money to put on these digital media traveling shows. And in this case, this was something on interactive marketing. And because there was no consumer digital media, there was no multimedia, consumer, CD-ROMs, none of this stuff existed. They were trying to prime the pump and get the market interested. And, in order to get in order to be a market, you had to have somebody make the content. So in order to have somebody make the content, you had to have somebody educated and not just educated, but inspired to spend months of their life and maybe tens of thousands, maybe $100,000 developing CD-ROM titles. So Hal Josephson got, collected all this money from these guys, and he and I were neighbors. And I read an article about him in our local paper, and I knocked on his door and said, "Hey, I'm a copywriter. Can I help?" I made $300, but I made a friend who was central to digital multimedia in San Francisco in the early 90s. Pre-internet, okay? No internet going on whatsoever, okay? This was at the time the main event. This is where all the energy and all the attention and all the imagination was being poured into this, and money was being poured into this model of interactive digital content, CD-ROMs. Okay. Now, previous to that, or simultaneous with that, I was writing ads. I kind of like Bob Bly's done a lot of work like this, more than me. He writes, or I don't know what he does. I know he's an educator now and a publisher. Maybe he doesn't even need to have clients anymore. But in these days, I needed clients. So my clients, anything hard that a BS copywriter could not figure out, that was the work I got. So here is my mock-up. you know, I laid it out how it would look, with the headline and all that jazz. And this is a surgical tool for doing what's that one? Cataracts, right? Ultrasound. This was ultrasound surgery for cataracts. This was a big deal in those days. And the company was Surgical Design, Surgical Design. So that's what I was working on before there was an internet. Now, I wrote this ad, and I wish I could find the rest of it. Oh, no, is this it? I'm not exaggerating, guys. I calculated how much time I spent going through these boxes. It's a good thing I'm a maniac. All told, 28 hours, right? So this pile of stuff here is a result of 28 hours. Most of the stuff went in the trash because it was useless, but some of it's amazing. Check this out. Can you read that headline? Okay, this is Steve Wozniak. This is Steve Jobs. And this is my friend, Daniel Kotke. And this was the original computer fair, FAIRE, based on the Renaissance Fair uh, that a friend of mine put on. And I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. He was a great guy and actually inspired me to do something that made me very nice money. I'm going to think of his name in a second. He was a writer for computer magazines. And he also just thought, hey, I'm going to put on PC conferences. And he put on a couple, and then he sold his PC conference business to Seybold, Seybold, for many millions of dollars. Jim Warren, look him up. Awesome man. So my headline says, if you had bought these guys a cup of coffee, you might very well be a multimillionaire today. And now you're about to get your second chance. And then I have one of my subheadlines is, by the way, this was written in I think 94, 95. The personal computer is on the, yeah, this must have been 94. The personal computer is on the brink of a second major earth-shaking, cash-spewing revolution. And this time, non-techies are going to share in the bonanza. Pretty good prediction, huh? And here's the line. Yeah, this was definitely 94. Imagine, marketing minus postage, printing, or fulfillment costs. Because we had to imagine it. When I was writing this, we had to imagine it. It didn't exist. Okay. Oh, this is a really good one. I often say I put on the first conference on web commerce ever. That was November 5th, 1994. And I actually have the poster. Let me just, yeah, I've got a wild collage always. See that? I don't know. Am I pointing? Let me see how this works. Special effects. By the way, I loved the 1968 Olympics. How do you do this? There we go. See that? 1968 Olympics, 100-yard dash winners. Love those guys. They were my heroes. And I ended up becoming a championship sprinter myself in high school based on that inspiration. Anyway, this, that's the poster from the conference. I've got two of them. And I'm glad I saved them. But I also have an email dated October 27th, 1994. And I've got let me read the copy. This event, this was not the greatest copy I ever wrote, is intended to be an executive briefing on the internet today with special emphasis on new opportunities made available by the latest generation of web browsers like Mosaic, which was the original web browser. Um, those invited to attend this meeting include filmmakers, music industry executives, ad agencies and public relation executives, multimedia producers, publishers, entrepreneurs, and others interested in the future of the media business. No specific technical knowledge of the internet is required to derive maximum benefit from participating in this event. Pretty clinical language here. And then I have our speakers, Marc Andreessen. See, that Mosaic became Netscape. And this is so far back that Netscape was still being called Mosaic Communications. And we go on and on. And anyway, that's that. So I found the original email that I used. There were not many people using email to market stuff in 1994. And this is the email that launched the original web commerce seminar, the very first one, not the first one I did, the first one in the history of the earth. And we had serious players, right? Marc Andreessen, the co-developer of the first successful web browser. Mark Graham, who was called Mr. Internet, and he was the 100 most important people in the computer industry, according to Microtimes in 1993. And then we had a guy named Ken McCarthy and his company, eMedia. Maybe that'll come up later. Hey, I just found the last page, the missing page from the other thing. Remember I showed you this? Let me show you. So here was page one. And here's page two. And there's Steve Jobs. That's his off. That was his office. What was I pitching here? Oh, right. Okay, this was an amazing meeting. This is where the guy who was the first person to sell banner ads on planet Earth, right? I invited him to, this was the sales letter to that thing. He came to it and I taught him what a click-through was because he didn't know. Nobody knew, right? And this penthouse meeting room in the Pacific Heights office building, where we will be gathering, can only hold about 25 people comfortably, and we've already well over. Well, I was a bad proofreader even then. We've already well over. Oh no, we're already well over half full, just on some casual word of mouth advertising. Obviously, a little trick if you don't think you're going to sell many, have a small room so the room looks full. This was a hard sell, guys. This was before the big event that I did in November. This was when was this thing? I think it was April. Did I put the date even? I must have had it on the other form. But anyway, I know this came first. I think it was like April or May. We charged $495. It included a light lunch. And it was just one day. Oh, June 11th. Okay, June 11th. So June 11th, 1994. That's the day the guy who was the first person on earth to sell banner ads in industrial quantity learned what the heck a banner ad was, and he learned it at this event, which I produced on June 11th, 1994. Okay. Let me see if I have a date on this one. Okay. Okay. Everything that's important about running a business on the web, on the World Wide Web, asterisk, what the 1,000 plus books, articles, and articles on the subject will not tell you. Now, I know this was an early piece that I wrote because it was San Francisco and it was eMedia, and nobody knew what the web was. Okay, 97. Okay, this was 97. Still had to do a lot of educating in 97, as you'll see in a second. Now, I was interested in the online world from a business point of view. Like you saw the multimedia thing. This is the annual report of AOL from 1992. All right, so I was already tracking this. Remember, there was no commercial internet until 1994. And when we did our conference in November of 1994, guess how many people had web browsers? Okay, I don't know how many people are on the internet now. I think it's like 4 billion or something. That's a big number, 4 billion. There were 1 million users of the World Wide Web when we did our conference in 94. So to get to a billion, that's 1,000 millions. And then to get, let's say, to 5 billion, that's five. So it grew 5,000 fold. But when it was just a million people, I put on the conference. This is a great one. I love this one. You ever heard this thought before? Warning, your company could be banned from the internet. Is that right? Warning, your company could be banned from the internet. Now, when did I write this one? This was part, believe it or not, I had forgotten this. We were one of the first domain registries. Now, we were very informal. We weren't authorized to be a domain registry. We just declared ourselves one, right? Because in those days, you would go, who the heck did you go to? I don't know. It was, I'll have to remember because I'm not technical, as people know. I'm still not. I still don't know anything. I still can't get anything done on the internet at all. I have people do it for me. Um, but we just declared ourselves a domain name registry company. And so we ran ads, and what people would do was write in with their domain name. We'd research it for them because we knew how to do it. And believe it or not, in those days, nobody knew how to look up a domain name to see if it was available or not. And then we also had we knew how to register them. I don't even, you had to do it manual. Everything had to be like send an email to this person, and then like in a couple of weeks they would grant you the domain, and it was crazy. So we used that as a front end for our web hosting business. I guess we were one of the original web hosts too. I find that hard to believe, but apparently we were. Um, so companies are, right? People are getting banned from the internet, right? I'm banned from Twitter still. I got banned in March of 2021 because I dared to question the COVID narrative, and they froze my account. You can see my account. I can't access Twitter. I can't access my account. But anyway, this was our ad, and I guess we predicted the future. Okay. This. Oh, here's my business card. eMedia. What did I call myself? I was the president of eMedia. And you're going to see the photographs from eMedia, and you're going to realize how ludicrous that was for anybody to call themselves the president. Come on, man. Can you? Sometimes this camera can do brilliant things. Sometimes it can't. I don't know, but that's the card. Um, and I have the paperwork some here. Maybe I'll find it and I'll show you. But I was the guy that registered Boardroom Books. Now this is a young Brian Kurtz with Marty Edelston, Michael Fishman. I think that's Michael's name, and then me. And we were at the Four Seasons way back when I'm telling you, nobody in the internet space, nobody in the direct marketing space, except a handful of people, was talking about boardrooms. Certainly no one knew who Marty Edelston was or was invited out to dinner with him or any of that. Now everybody knows everything about everybody, right? All right. This was our November 5th. Remember I told you the conference was the first full-blown web commerce doing business on the web seminar ever. It wasn't huge. This is the entire, here we go. See that? Oh, what happened to this? There we go. Okay, we got the speakers, we got the helpers. We had 6 helpers, 7 helpers, my God. And then attendees. It wasn't a lot, you know. Here were all those smart people that came out for that thing. Page 2, page 3. Now, we did have it at a really swank place. We had it at Pac Bell, which is a telephone company. Pac Bell's headquarters, San Francisco headquarters, because their head of multimedia development initiatives needed to have something to brag about, and there wasn't much for him to brag about. So I asked him, "Hey, would you be the host? Could we have your facility to have this meeting?" And he said, "Yeah." So we were in a slick facility. Now this is an interesting one. Remember, there was no commercial internet until 1994. Now, did we make it happen? We helped. We put on the first conference. We taught the guy that sold banner ads. We did a lot. I'm going to show you some of the other stuff we did in 1994. But this is where I was in 1993. One BBS Con, August 1993 in Colorado Springs. So pre-internet, the only game in town online was Prodigy, CompuServe, some other stuff I can't remember, and about 50,000, which sounds big, right? But there are now like 50 gajillion websites, but there were 50,000 BBSs, computer bulletin boards in the U.S. And this really interesting and smart guy who I liked a lot, totally cool guy, Jack Ricard, or Rickard, I think he called himself Rickard. Um, decided he had been putting on these little conferences, and he had a magazine called Boardwatch. If you're an old timer, you heard about it. And there was a lot of money to be made making the platforms for the BBSs. Um, yeah, here was another one, the Mustang BBS platform, right? So he had advertisers and sponsors, and there's Jack Ricard. Um, and who else? Anybody famous in here? Oh, there's my friend Jim Warren. Okay. Jim was just a giant in the PC industry and in the online industry. Oops, there we go. Super giant, super giant, a great guy, kind guy, smart guy. It's an interesting story. I saw the internet for the first time like in 78. I didn't know what it was. There weren't that many nodes on the internet. And I went to a college that had a node on the internet. And young people, when I went to school, nobody had a PC. I mean, I don't mean like normal people didn't have PCs. I mean, nobody had a PC. Um, and software, therefore, was only on mainframes, right? So you didn't buy software. Your college or your company, your Fortune 500 company had software and you used it. So Columbia University had a electronic music software program on their mainframe. And the school I went to, Princeton, didn't. So my roommate, Stanley Jordan, and if you know jazz guitar, he became a big deal. But then we were just undergrads. And for him to do his computer music, because he was into that, he had to like do all his coding on a terminal in Princeton and pipe it to Columbia. It would get processed on the software and then pipe back to him. That pipe was the internet. We didn't know what it was. We didn't call it the internet. It just was a pipe. So then I, didn't want to have any, I wasn't really a computer guy. But then my wife wrote a cookbook, and I helped a little bit. And the cookbook, lo and behold, was nominated for the Julia Child Cookbook Award. It's kind of a big deal in the cookbook world. So it was a popular vote if you wanted to win. So people know me, I'm very competitive. Um, and I wanted her to win. So I mailed every single person I knew. And the one guy I couldn't reach, the only contact I could get for him was an email address. And I wasn't on email at the time. So I had to call a friend and say, I know you're on email. Could you send a message to my friend Dave? Blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I got in touch with Dave. And lo and behold, Dave had moved all the way from New Jersey to within like 5 blocks of where I was living in San Francisco. Go figure. And I said, Dave, what is this internet thing? He said, oh, it's really cool. Get the Boardwatch magazine. So I got the Boardwatch magazine, and by coincidence, they were having their big conference like that month. And I was dead broke. And it was going to cost me at least $1,000 and probably more. I don't know, with the airfare and the hotel and I was like, oh, do I go to this thing? It seems kind of cool, but that's a lot of money. But it seems like there's something there. So I had a dream. This is a true story. I had a dream. And in this dream, I was in Polk Gulch. So I'm not going to explain what Polk Gulch is, but it's Polk Street in New York City, in San Francisco. And if you know San Francisco, you know Polk Gulch. And I'm down in Polk Gulch, and I go into a phone booth, and it's like very nice with mahogany wood and brass fittings, and like obviously a dream-like uh, uh, phone booth. But in a dream, I thought it was real. So there's a drawer. So I open the drawer and it's filled with rolls of $100 bills, right? So I wake up and they say communications, telecommunications, lots of money. I'm going to that conference, right? That conference changed my life. Hopefully we'll find my notebook from that conference, which was, I filled out a full notebook just in like crazy ideas in 3 days. Um, I don't know what the context was, but this was just some ad copy from the early 90s. I don't know who it was for. Ken McCarthy's high-powered, low-tech secrets for getting started making money on the internet. It was probably for Kennedy, Dan Kennedy's group, because you have to understand. business owners, and even young people were completely intimidated by the internet, right? This was just for top gearheads, right? There was no, forget about doing business on, just getting the thing to work was amazing. So I was focusing here on low tech, the low tech things you could do, right? Because you want to get people started. And then once they're started, then you move them along. All right, what's this? Oh, Agora, they're so great and everything. They put on an internet conference and they had me as one of their speakers. And I brought some of my guys and we went down and saved the day because that conference was crap. And if I hadn't come down with some people that really knew what they were talking about, and all the attendees were like, thank God you were here, man. Because what their idea of a conference was to have their employees up there on the podium just theorizing about the internet. And I had real actors. All right, I was subscribing. And this is going to come up later. I was very into direct mail. I was doing a lot of direct mail actually, and I wanted to get into direct mail selling software, right? So I was a subscriber to Direct Results paper, right? Because there were no guys. I know for some of you young people, you're not going to be able to imagine this. There was no such thing as an email newsletter. Like, did not exist. There was none. Okay. So everything had to be print. So this was the management report on trends in direct mail marketing for computer related projects. So I was thrilled because I loved direct mail. Was a super fanatical student of it. Pretty heavy user for a single one guy business. And I knew that the computer industry was a big deal. And I was trying to find my way in. And honestly, I wasn't finding my way in until the internet came along and then found my way in. They did something really cool at that conference. It was a conference on marketing software. And it's just like it's like an artifact from a distant time, right? They gave us this. Okay, what is this? This is Rolodex. Like, if guys, there was a thing called a Rolodex, and it was print, and it rolls, and you put these things through the things, and if you needed Joe Smith, you'd look up S, and there would be Joe Smith, and you could call him up on the phone on your landline because there were no cell phones, and this was printed out on a printer, on a dot matrix printer, and this was the height of savvy and sophistication. Okay, this was where we were at, man. All right. I was telling you about that, and as you can see, I'm doing this in no particular order. Um, this was the conference from November 1994. I had more hair, and I also had a beard because I wanted to look older. I was only in my 30s, and I wanted to look like an industry heavyweight. And then this is Mark Andreessen, who didn't have to worry about that. He was 23. He had hair. He has no hair now. He was 23, tall guy. Yeah, this doesn't show you how much taller he was than me. And he was the guy that put the first browser in the hands of over 1 million people. This was the guy that did it. This is why we have a commercial internet. Um, this is the notes from Jim Johnson's Computer Direct Marketing newsletter. And here, how do you? Now, he wasn't talking about market on the internet because there was no marketing on the internet. He was talking about using direct mail to market software and other computer services. So his headline was How to Make at least $1 million in direct mail by selling your own computer program. That was the nirvana. That was the dream for people. Like, you'd write a program, or somebody would write a program that you worked with, and it would be super popular, and you'd sell it, and everybody would be using it, and you'd make $1 million. That was how you made money with people's PCs in those days. There was no internet. So the bar was kind of high. You had to write a full-fledged program that someone could take on a floppy disk and put in their computer, and it had to work and do something useful. Um, Totally different model we have now, and this was based in Palo Alto. All right, what's the next thing in this? Oh, well, I don't know how this got in the box, but oh, wait a minute. Okay, I got to update my copy. I thought that seminar was 20 years ago. It was only 19 years ago. Oops, darn. But anyway, 19 years ago, I put on the advanced copywriting for serious infomarketers. Legendary. amazing program yet to be duplicated. We've had some great students come out of it. One of them was Ben Settle. He didn't go to the event, but he believe me, he knows what's on those tapes because he wrote the ad copy for the first sale of the tapes. Now, check this out. Now, this is there once was a time when people had fax machines. All right. And this was the System Club fax letter. Now, if you've got the book, The System Club Letters, it's made up of the faxes that I sent to the members of the System Club way back. People were still using fax machines in 20 years ago, 2004. Um, that was still, well, a few people still believe in fax machines. I think Dan Kennedy. I can see why. Um, that's a whole long story. Now, just some random copy. Hey, it's free just for being a club member. And it's easy, free and easy. Just fill out this simple form. And that's always been my model. If you're a non-club member, you get good stuff. If you're a club member, it really truly is inner circle. Like you don't see my stuff from the System Club um, out there. Like only my System Club members get to see it. And I give them a lot of free stuff. Once you're in, and you're like a family member. All right, now this is great. There was a magazine, still exists, called DM. Does it still exist? But if it does, it's online only, called DM News. All right. Now check out this headline. Okay. I'll read it. Retention strategy may signal start of online second wave. All right. Now it's June 22nd, 1998. And the bright idea of 1998 was, hey, customers are starting to expect follow through. People still don't follow through. But nobody knew. This was the web marketing news section of the DM News, which was the central direct marketing publication. And they still didn't get the idea that you could follow through in an automated way via email. We knew it because we had developed a program to do it years before that article was written. And then this is just an ad. This was an ad for, I put on 3 seminars in 3 weeks, kind of a crazy idea. I never did it again. Though it worked. It worked. But it's best to do one seminar at a time. Okay, big picture of me and Marc Andreessen. Oh, you could buy a Sony, you could buy a Sony cellular phone for only $249.95. Asterisk. So we know this was a long time ago. Oh, and that gave you 90 minutes of talk time. Offer expires November 1996. So anyway, in the talk of the town in San Francisco's business paper was internet consultants help build websites. This was big news. Internet consultant, okay, and small operators can hire service to design and host site. How do you like that? Now, in 1994, so let's say this came out in 96. In 94, there was only, believe it or not, when we did our June meeting in 94, there was only one guy that I knew of in the whole world who was a full-time website developer. That's how small this market was. And I felt sorry for him. I thought, geez, how is this guy going to make a living? How's he going to feed himself? That was Mark Fleischman, and he was also at our, November 1994 event. The very first web designer, webmaster, professional. There were a lot of amateur ones, right? And in-house companies would have one. One didn't have a team, had a guy, and they had 3 pages, right? All right. So what else do we have here? Ah, okay, let's get the date on this. You won't believe this one, guys. This is 96 too. These, when I started, there wasn't much going on, and it was a long fallow period before it hit. So this is the state of the art in 96. Some web hosts charge you for every visit that your site receives. That was true. They would charge you by the hit and you'd get a bill. This was how the computer world thought. If you've been around a long time, or you know someone who was around then, you used to pay AOL by the minute. It was metered. And then they got the bright idea, let's not meter anything. Let's just, you got a website, pay me by the month. I don't care how many people hit you. I mean, I guess if you have some crazy traffic, maybe you have to have a bandwidth charge, but that doesn't apply to most people. So that's 96. Now here's another one. Now, this is a little later, 98. Look at where the market was. Can you read that? When will call centers handle incoming email? There was no email customer service as late as 1998. And remember, we did our conference in 94, and this is the ultimate direct marketing paper. It's direct DM news. They didn't have customer service via email. What? All right. Oh, this is great. This is 98 too. Wow, why didn't you develop niche sites? Again, this is the DM news. This is like the paper of record. This is where all the direct marketing industry was reading and getting their internet information from. Narrow thinking, online DMers miss opportunities. Um, they're not using direct marketing oriented companies were not using the web to market. Somewhere in here, if I can find it, I have the lecture I gave to the Northern California Direct Marketing Club, trying to get the direct marketing industry of California, Northern California, to pay attention to the web because they weren't. What's this? Now, who did I write this for? Oh gosh, I wish I did. I mean, I had to explain what HTML was. I had to explain how to select an internet service provider, an ISP, what an ISP was, how to select one. Um, let's see. Trying to get some other clues. But anyway, this was I don't know who I did this for. I mean, surely it was one of my own events. Ken McCarthy's No Hype Guide to Making Your Well, I was calling it the Information Superhighway. So that tells you we were in early days. Let's see in my bio. Yeah, it's like 96 or something like that. Okay, check this out. All right. Anyway, this is part of a course, a flow chart. How to use the internet. Oh yeah, okay. This was 95. 95, because I remember this. I just happened to put on the first conference ever on the subject of local marketing on the internet. I did that too. And so the headline is How to Use the Internet to Take Control of the Flow of Information and Cash in Your Local Real Estate Market, a complete course from A to Z. So my model then was, why not become the central hub of all information on real estate for your local market? Like, obviously all your listings, obviously the mortgage brokers, obviously the title companies, obviously the contractors, the repair guys, the guys that mow the lawn, the guy, all that stuff. Be the central hub so that anybody that needs to do anything related to property in your market area, they're going to go to your website and they're going to see your listings and you're going to be the king of the hill. So I created that course, and it was basically based on the idea of, hey, let's do local marketing on the internet. And people thought I was nuts because people are very literal. But Ken, it's the World Wide Web. I said, yeah, but you can use it for local marketing. What? Yeah, 1995. Nobody got it. We did sell out the course, but still. All right. What else is in this bag of tricks or this box of tricks? Oh, okay. There was a thing called Multimedia Live. This probably was 95. And this was just a sheet of paper I had at the conference to try to get people to come to my talk. It was a thing called Multimedia Live, and that would have been 95. And what did here's a we were producing internet training audio and videotapes, and we're talking about VHS and cassettes. And we also provided, I love this, man, instant turnkey internet presences for small businesses at a price so low, you'll be amazed. And here I'm calling myself the CEO of a company with me and a half employee. Okay. There was a while there. I'm going to show you. Hopefully, I can show you the evidence. Like from no November, December, January, February, March. So of 94 going to 95, I was the leading educator on the internet about internet business opportunities for real. Like I was talking to serious people, not biz op, people, real people in San Francisco in that like 3, 4, 5 month period. I was it. I was Mr. Internet for a brief way. Now, we had to teach people what an autoresponder was, which in those days we called an infobot. And I had to teach people, what did I say? Guidelines for creating your infobot. And we had an infobot service. If you do, now, point number 9, if you do not have email, because a lot of people didn't have email, you will need to submit your infobot material on a 3.5-inch copy, a computer disk. We can accept material in Word or MacWrite for Macintosh easily. If you plan to use any other format, call Naima Best. That was somebody that worked for me. And discuss it with her before you mail the disc. Oh my God. We had to show people. Oh my goodness. Okay. So anyway, how do you, this was a simple infobot. You mail and you get a response, not an autoresponder. This was early. And we had to teach people what that was. And we were the guys doing it. I don't think anybody else went to the trouble. We had to teach people how to think about building a website. Here's the plan. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Step 1, oh no, this was for the guys, for the real estate guys. Build your own site, build a site for your company. So you got that nailed down. Then start building the pages for everything in your local market, right? And then 3, build the homepage that ties together your entire local market so that there's you're a portal, basically. That was the concept. You'd become the portal, and everybody interested in anything, even vaguely real estate related, would come to your portal. They'd see all your ads and they were free to you, and you'd control the real estate market. Not a bad idea. Oh, I had to explain to people that BBSs were not the information superhighway, that the internet was. And this might have been 96. This might have been 96. Wow, Time Magazine published a special spring issue called Welcome to Cyberspace with 88 pages. We were so excited that somebody was taking us seriously. So I talk about 1994, and I gotta prove it. I gotta prove to people that the internet is like an international 800 number system for computers. I had to explain it to people. People didn't get it. The internet is completely turnkey. The internet is the standard. Forget BBSs, forget Prodigy, forget America Online, CompuServe, blah, 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 blah. It's the internet, guys, the internet. And I was having to explain this as late as 1986. All right, I don't know what this is, a drawing. Oh, remember I've often said that I was one of the first guys doing sequential autoresponders. I did it for myself. It was kind of a mess. Didn't work very well. And then the brilliant people at AWeber started their service in 97. And I was like, hallelujah, let me just give them money to do it. But this was the layout for how the thing worked. Web, and I called it the mail machine. Web interface for the mail machine. And I'm a really good interface designer. I can't write a line of code, but boy, I can design the interface, and I do it with paper and ink. Give me a good programmer, and we've developed some really good, way back. We used to develop pretty decent software. I don't know if you can see this. It shows darn it. Maybe I'll do a later if I ever do this for real, I'll do it with a properly, right? So this shows Article 1 goes on day 0. Oh, there we go. Article 2, and then you add in here, do you want it to go on the second day, the third day, the fourth day? And then Article 3, and then I go ETC, the first sequential autoresponder. Try to imagine internet commerce without it. All right. All right. Now, this was interesting. I clipped this. I don't know who these guys were, but it was very exciting to me. Internet developers, if you've got a great internet-based application on technology, we'll publish, market, and sell. We'll publish, market, sell, and support it worldwide. We'll pay you $100,000 cash up front and millions in royalties. See reverse for details. Okay, this was the state of the art. We were looking for internet applications. That was the Royal Road to Riches. This was to Jeff Paul. If anybody remembers Jeff Paul, we did web work for him early on. And I said, Jeff, here's a simple test that won't cost you a dime. And what was it? We put up a web page for him. He could use it in his ads. And if people clicked on it, we'd see that people in his market actually had internet connections and would click on and would go to links because as late as 1996, that was not a proven concept. Okay. I think big, you know, and this was what I had on my wall. And this is the Earth, the whole world. This is networked interactive multimedia. Notice I didn't even call it the internet. This must have been from like 93. And who is going to be the mediator of all information on that for the planet? It was going to be my company, E Media. By the way, I coined the term E Media. What do you call it? Trademarked it, and a company affiliated with Microsoft needed that, and that's how I bought my house. Thank you very much, Microsoft. And I changed my company to Amacord. So this was my ad to myself. This was what I was going for. And like I said, for like 5 months, I was it. See, a lot of you guys, the System Seminar, 2002, a lot of stuff went down before 2002, guys. And I have to laugh when people say, "Oh, I'm an internet pioneer." Really? When did you start? 2015, man. 2000. I've been on this thing since 2015. Good for you, son. Right now, I'm so glad I have this. I carried this from New York City. I lived in a room. I'm in a kind of small office. I would say it's 20 by 10. Windows everywhere. It's really beautiful. I could turn the camera around. I like it, It's cool, I like it. Got plenty of room. And but I was living in one room apartment, much smaller than this. Fourth floor walk up. Roof was the next floor up. No air conditioner. New York City. My next door neighbor had a rat this big, which he caught in a trap. When it got hot, you just baked in there. I remember one day in the middle, I found myself in the hallway on all fours panting. Like unconsciously, I just burst out of my room, crawled out to the hallway so I could breathe, asleep. So it was a rough time. It was a young guy. I was 20 and I was very stubborn and I wanted to do things my own way. And that included living like that and not having food. Thinking food was a luxury. Any food. So anyway, this came out. Can you see the date? Ah, good. Hey, I don't know why does this work sometimes it doesn't? Okay. So this was June 20th, 1982. Right. And wow, here I am. You know what? This was even before I moved into that apartment. Wow. Because I moved there in 84. So this goes way back. And this was an article. Look at the title. The Lucrative Art of Crafting Junk Mail. And I was just fascinated. And I believe that's boardroom. That's a boardroom piece. And I was just fascinated. I don't have my glasses, so I'm going to use this magnifying glass. Macedonian. I don't know. It was just so interesting. They talk about Bill Jamie. Who else do they talk about? Anybody famous? Oh, John Tighe, Tighe. Okay, that's it. But anyway, so direct mail was already, I was just 22, right? And the guys, like no PCs. You had to be a hobbyist geek to have a PC in 1982. They were rare, 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 rare. And but there was this thing called direct response, and direct mail was the pointy, glamorous part of direct response then. Now, of course, we're all students of the great Gary Halbert. And I clipped this ad from, I think it was from Success Magazine. And is there a date anywhere? No. Okay, but anyway, these were the tapes. He was selling the tapes of his millionaire, the college. Okay, so he had an artist superimpose this on this building, the Key West College of Millionaires. So many people, and you gotta love Gary, man. So many people have called the Harbor House, which is where he used to have the conferences. I never went to one, unfortunately. So many people have called the Harbor House the quote College of Millionaires. A local artist believes the Key West City Fathers should erect a banner similar to the one airbrushed on this photo. Now, how many people actually thought that the Harbor House should be called the College of Millionaires? Two? What artist? Some artist, right? Yeah, right. Gary hired an artist to do this. It wasn't some artist's dream. So gotta love Gary. He addresses it to dear friend, but there's no date. There's no date. Too bad. But this was clearly pre-internet. Now, I don't have, if anybody's got the Gary Halbert Atom Bomb letter, he wrote a book, excuse me, he wrote a sales letter saying that computer bulletin boards were going to be the atom bomb of marketing. It was just going to wipe out everything. And he was wrong on the details, and he was absolutely right on the specifics, right? Um, and he cited as the example of how this works my friend Steve O'Keefe's work on marketing books. Steve O'Keefe was the first person to market books on the internet, and only the second person to be a publicity agent on the internet. There was only two. There was Eric Ward, and there was Steve O'Keefe on the whole planet Earth. And again, we all thought like, gee, how are these guys going to make a living doing that? But Steve specialized in books, and Gary saw Steve's success marketing a book online. It was a book on hacking, and so perfect product to market to media match. And they sold a ton of books. And Gary saw that and said, this is the future. And that gave me courage, to go ahead because I was a direct marketing mail guy. And the internet was like this boiling, bubbling thing in 1993. It wasn't really happening. Now, oh, I found it. Okay. So remember I said that I gave this talk to direct marketers. So this is the transcript of the seminar for the Northern California Direct Marketing Club. Now, these are direct response professionals. Like that's all they did for a living. They had, the old saying, they had one job. And I was there trying to persuade them to take the internet seriously. And it was a hard sell. It was a hard sell. I don't know the date that I did this, but again, probably it had to be mid. I had to explain. Here are the opportunities, guys. Mailing lists, newsletters. What's that one? Testing. You can test headlines. You can test offers. This was news. I mean, they knew how to do it with direct mail. The idea that you could apply all this to the internet, this is the Northern California direct market professional people booking millions and millions of dollars in business, doing direct marketing for clients. I had to explain to them the internet, guys, you can test with it. So this is early 90s. I mean, I say, sorry, mid 90s, mid 90s. I wish, I probably if I went through this, I just, I don't know why I put this in here. A sample CGI script. I don't know why I put that in there. I guess I wanted to look technical. Okay, here's a hint for how long ago this was. Oh, what did I say? Fundamental things apply. Media selection. This is the guy I was trying to explain. This is the same business that you're in. Media selection, list acquisition. The offer, the headline, benefits not features, the call to action, blah, 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 blah. So, well, I don't know. I had to explain the web from a very primitive, like, here's the browser, here's the server with multiple pages on it. Your browser, when you click on a link, goes and grabs a page and brings it back to your desktop. These were professional people. This was the cream of the crop of direct marketing in one of the most sophisticated advertising agency markets in the world. I had to teach them what the web was. Oh, I love this one. Basic World Wide Web definitions. This is your home page. These are buttons. These are links. This is a website, um, a web server, internet service providers. And then I invented something, internet publishing companies, of which eMedia is one of the leaders. That was my company. And here was the structure for a simple 4-page website, because again, you got to give people the simple thing. So this is the level that I was teaching this at in the 90s. Okay. I was telling you I was Mr. Big for a while, for the whole, market. Not the marketing market, not the social media, the whole internet, the whole thing. The commercial idea. So this was an article from the Multimedia Reporter, and there's me with my beard. This is a profile of Ken McCarthy. Yes, so there I am. I love this. This is old, man. This is 94, the fall of 94. The day is fast coming when internet servers and the telephone system will replace the US mail for the delivery of everything from mail order catalogs to obscure scholarly documents. And this was in Forbes, and this was the fall of 1994. And this is what websites look like. This was the most advanced, sophisticated website on the planet at the time. Okay. Now, I've often said that I wrote the first the first article on using email for commercial purposes that appeared in a marketing magazine. So this is the DM News again. And this is the electronic marketing section. And the name of my article is Why We Will Not Have Interactive Television. Now, this was the big thing. We were going to have interactive television. And unfortunately, the date is not here, but I have to think this was 94, 95 at the latest. And I was basically saying, hey, forget this interactive television BS. We're going to have the internet's here, man. It's the deal. And get a damn email address and start using it and start learning how to use it. I nailed it, man. I nailed it. So here's the summary. Ken McCarthy oh my God, this shows you how long ago it was, because I had another business called Marketing Solutions, and I was afraid that if I dropped Marketing Solutions, I'd be out in the cold. So I called my company initially Marketing Solutions / eMedia. So this had to be 93, 94. I mean, this was way back, because I didn't jettison Marketing Solutions until 95 for real, right? So here's what it says. Ken McCarthy of Marketing Solutions / eMedia argues, I like to argue, that email has more promise as an info superhighway DM vehicle than interactive TV. This was the first, and it was my business card. This was the first article where somebody threw down the gauntlet or put the flag in the sand and said, it's going to be the internet and email is going to be really important. Anybody out there ever made any money with email? Send me a penny for every dollar you made, and I'll be richer than Bill Gates. Okay. Now, go to YouTube, right? 10 trillion experts online. There were no experts online when I started. I had to teach people the idea that you can position yourself as, hopefully you are an expert, you can position yourself as an expert, go online and make money. This was number 9 in the series of pieces of advice The Simple Art of Becoming a Self-Made Guru. And I explained that, hey, look, if you know it, you know it, and you can be an expert. Don't be intimidated. Um, my book on internet marketing or internet business, because we weren't thinking in narrow terms. We were just thinking of doing business on the internet, period, right? And then it became we started focusing on marketing later. But my book on that subject was the first book in Japan to be published on the concept of doing business on the internet. At some point we'll find the cover in here. But I had as a client NEC, which is the equivalent of IBM, and that's Japan's IBM. So this was a excuse me, this was something I was very proud of. I pulled a check out of NEC for many thousands of dollars. This was just the first one. And is this fellow dated? Let's see. Yeah, 96. 96. I was the chief correspondent to Big Globe, which was like I don't know what you would compare it to, but it was NEC's big investment in an internet portal. And I was the guy writing on internet business for that. And that was a very lucrative thing. This is fun. Remember when you would get these daily things in the paper? I mean, in the mail, showing you what I didn't notice. Not many sales on the e-media side. It was slim pickings in the early days. You know, these people that can throw up a YouTube channel and be famous in 3 weeks and have a million views wasn't like that when we started. First of all, you couldn't put video on the internet. Okay, here's the International Interactive Communication Society, their local paper, and they call this net surfing. They put my picture up there. Again, this was that golden period. Yeah, April 95. Yeah, I guess my fame, my supercharged fame in the computer industry lasted all the way at least till April of 95. And that's, by the way, when I had that month, I had a horrible spine injury that took me 5 years to recover from. I hate even to think about it anymore. That's why my career went like this, and then I rebuilt myself very painstakingly, and then the internet collapsed. Remember, and if you've been around, you know there was a dot-com crash. Then we had 9/11, and then everybody gave up on internet commerce. You know, they thought this isn't going to happen. And I said, you know what? And finally got healthy enough to stand up and walk, simple things like that. And I started doing my seminars, the first of the great, well, there really never have been great seminars after mine. I'll tell you that right now. And everybody that thinks they're doing a great seminar started out as a student of mine. Um, but anyway, we started there was nobody doing ad tech. Everybody hopefully knows what ad tech is. This big, huge conference. Well, they were about to go bankrupt when I launched the system seminar. That's how dire things were. All right, so you've already seen that one. All right, you've already seen this one. Okay, what's this? Again, I have to go back. So this was the idea of Jim Johnson and his software direct marketing summit in New Orleans. Now, little did I didn't go to it, but little did I know that New Orleans was going to be a big deal in my life starting in 2005. But just want you to see, pre-internet, I was hustling, struggling, trying to find something that would work. And it was called the Super Summit. So there have been Super Summits a long time. Oh, this was very encouraging. And I don't know what publication this came from, but the computer, look at this, guys. So there was something called the Computer Shopping Network. It was remember I was telling you about the bulletin board platforms, and that was the big deal. There was no web. No web. There was CompuServe, Prodigy, AOL, and a bunch of computer bulletin boards. And this company, the Computer Shopping Network, was using the major BBS as their platform for their bulletin board service. Think of it as a website, but it really wasn't a website because young people, take note, you had to dial in on a telephone. And you could only get in if there was an open modem. Like it was a direct your phone to modem, period. right? So if there were 250 modem lines, and that's how these businesses were, they'd have walls and walls of modems. If there were 250 modem lines and you were the 251 caller, you get a busy signal. Not only that, if you lived in Oshkosh and they were based in Miami, you paid long distance charges. Now, long distance charges are nothing now. I don't even think, is there even such a thing as long distance anymore? In those days, you could go bankrupt. You could bankrupt your family, and some people did. I didn't literally bankrupt it, but there were families that got $3,000 or $4,000 long distance charges because Junior was dialing up BBSs all over the world. So anyway, this was the first guys that broke the $1 million a year sales online that we know of. Computer Shopping Network. God bless them. Now this is a trip. Okay. What is this thing? All right, I'm going to tell you it's dated on November 1st, 1994. Right, way back, man, I'm telling you, there was nothing going on. This is called the Internet Mall. Shopping on the information superhighway. A list of commercial services available via the internet. So wrap your mind around this, guys. It's not a tiny document, but it's pretty small. This list, and oh my God, let me take a look at this. I haven't looked at this in a long time. Oh, it looks like there's one page per node. Oh no, I see it. They do it by so you have gifts and collectibles, right? And what do they got here? They got teddy bears. They've got I don't know what I don't even know what hand painted first. I don't even know what the hell this is. Heart prints, personalized frame messages suitable for every gift giving occasion. A Star Trek store, uh, gift country, specialized gifts, dancing dragon. I don't know what the hell that is. Anything related to dragons? Galen's plethora, specialty gifts. Um, uh, color burst. No. Oh, that's it. Okay. Understand this, guys. This literally was the most comprehensive list of commercial. Everything was, I always say I was a pioneer of commercial internet. And people go, well, what do you mean? There was no commercial internet until 94. Didn't happen. So this document, which came out in 94, is the list of all the commercial activity going on the internet for the whole planet. And I just gave you the entire list of all the gift shops that were online. It fits 3/4 of a page. That's where we were when I put on the first conference on internet commerce in 94. This was something I did with Dan Kennedy early on. The fastest, smartest way you can answer all your internet questions and start claiming your share of the exploding internet market right now. Yes, Ken, count me in. Please rush me your package without delay. I'm tired of being confused about the internet and being painfully ignorant of the best ways to profit from it. I realize you've been at this longer than all the Johnny-come-lately gurus, and your no-nonsense, bottom-line oriented approach to making money on the internet has been endorsed at the highest levels of the industry and by people like Dan Kennedy. Actually, I phrased that a little weird. It sounds like Dan Kennedy's not at the highest levels. But anyway, that was just a grammatical mistake. So I was already an old timer then. And this is early. This is early. Okay, now here's my newsletter. I had a print newsletter. I didn't even remember I had this thing, man. I was shocked. I mean, I kind of remember. Okay, check this out, guys. This is January 1994. I hadn't even done the June meeting where the first banner ad monster salesman learned what a banner ad was. I hadn't done my big conference in November, the first gathering of people focusing on web commerce. There had been some internet things, but they were all pie in the sky. This was like, okay, we got a web. What are we going to do with it? So the headline, the thing is the online solutions newsletter. So I was sort of morphing from marketing solutions to online solutions. The newsletter dedicated to showing you how to make big bucks from the big boom. You got to use those alliterations. And I wrote about Jack Ricard. Oh, Online America just announced their 500,000th subscriber. They started last year at 150. Now, I wrote to Steve Case when they hit 100,000. I said, "Congratulations, Steve. Next stop, 1 million." And he wrote me back. And then as further evidence that this was real, oh, this is so great. This is some history, man. Dan, I Hate Computers Kennedy just bought a PowerBook. And I make a joke, Apple stock closed up 2.5 points in heavy trading. Boy, if you had bought Apple when Dan Kennedy bought his um, PowerBook in 1994 and just held on, it'd be pretty interesting time. Oh, and Hayes Modem just announced a new modem that is 10 times faster than last year's model. Oh my God. So this is some early stuff, man. This is some early stuff. Okay. Oh, yes, but it didn't always start out glamorous. This was my sales letter to try to get myself a tech writing job when I arrived in San Francisco. This was February 28, 1990. Dear technical recruiter, I am an experienced technical writer who has recently moved to San Francisco from New York. In New York, I worked primarily for financial institutions in the area of brokerage, trading and foreign exchange. I've worked in IBM mainframe, DEC and Stratus environments. If you have needs that call for some of my skills, I'm currently seeking contract technical work. Thanks for your interest. And I went out, Patina reminds me, I went out to San Francisco with one suitcase. That's all I had. Okay. I mentioned that I was big in Japan. So when this is the Northern California Japan Club, or whatever it's called, the Japan Society of Northern California, and in I'm not sure what year this was, probably 95 or 96, they had a special meeting. And again, this is so arbitrary. I don't know if it's going to show you the actual enough to read, but it's called Doing Business with Japan in the Digital Age, What's Virtual, What's Reality. Speakers include Ken McCarthy, eMedia. And this is how I got my gig with NEC. They heard me speak, and I kind of knew what I was talking about. And they thought, hey, let's give this guy some money to help us. And this was done at the Dolby Laboratory Presentation Studio because it was hosted by the Multimedia Study Group. Multimedia Group Program. This was April 24th. Oh, okay. This happened in 96. Okay, so 96. And then here was the flyer from that, and yours truly, one of the speakers. You know what helped me? The guy read my bio, my short bio, and it's Mark Andreessen, first conference, this, that, and he was like, "Oh my God!" And he like gave me this glowing introduction. And sitting in the audience were these two high-level, high-ranking NEC guys, and and they needed somebody, and I was the somebody. That's how business gets done, right? Didn't you know? All right. Letter to Dan Kennedy, September 1994. Now, I'd been dealing with Dan on other issues before that. I remember, should I mention this guy's name? One of the sleazebag gurus. I'll give you his initials, JR. I went to one of my events and I found out later, circulated around my audience and said, this McCarthy guy, he just got lucky with Kennedy. No, no, Sparky. I had known Dan since 1990, and I had paid my dues with him, significantly. And he knew who I was, he knew how reliable I was, and he knew how unreliable you and other people like you were. And he put me on the podium, not the sleazebags that you helped gather and poison the internet with. Some people will know who I'm talking about. That's all I'm going to say on that for now. But I may mention this guy's name, and I may mention the really sleazy things they did in the early 2000s when people were trying to learn the right way to do internet marketing. This is something I sent to my mortgage people because I had a business educating mortgage brokers and investors. I'm still making money in mortgage investing, but when it comes to building wealth, I found something much better. So this is early stuff. This is early stuff. Oh, here, more of my ad from the surgical. This is not a needle. This is a surgical tool. This I got it a Dan Kennedy thing. I don't know, can I tell you? I mean, he gave the seven cultural differences that define the American consumer. Dan, in the old days, apparently, way back when he first started, he was called the professor by his circle. I'll give you just one. One of the things that defines us is we're obsessed with bigger and more. Um, and we accept mistakes. That's another, we're forgiving. We're forgiving consumers. I won't give you the other seven. I don't know if he publishes this anywhere, but this was brilliant. This thing was worth a million. Some of you have taken screenshots, but okay. Now, before I went to San Francisco, my first business was speed reading, and my very first speed reading course that I gave was a 1-day seminar, and I did it in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, because I happened to be teaching at I think it was called Moravian College. I was a traveling speed reading teacher, and I thought I'd do my own thing on the side. So this was my first attempt at it as at an ad. No classes, no less. Ever wish you could speed read? Or concentrate better, or remember more, or comprehend more easily, or manage your time more efficiently? And then I talk about this deal, and I had the free introductory sessions live, no webcam or Zoom session. I had to like rent a place and make it easy for people to come and get the pitch. Come to one of our free introductory mini sessions, and then I would close them there. I got a Dan Kennedy fax, just a random fax, from 95. Okay, remember I said there were only two guys doing online promotion? Now imagine this. In the whole planet, everybody, all these billions of people, there are only two guys that hung out a shingle and said, I will handle your web promotion for you. One of them was Steve O'Keefe, who focused on books, and the other was the great late Eric Ward, who's unfortunately passed away. And here was his very useful article: 10 things to ask before hiring an online PR firm to promote your website. And I believe Eric had this amazing deal. I don't know if I can find it. It was very dangerous to do email promotions in the early days because the internet, you know how people are woke now? There was a bunch of woke people around then, and they were woke on the subject of the internet not becoming commercial. And they became enraged if you tried to do anything commercial on the internet. Some of the old timers will remember this. I mean, it's ancient history now, but it was real. And they would come after you vigilante style. So what Eric would do is he'd say, look, run this ad. We'll do this email, this targeted email, not spam. And we'll have a website, and people will come to the website, but I'll own the website. I'll take the heat. So if the website gets, the domain and the website gets banned from the internet, that used to happen for daring to send a commercial email to your own customers. If people think it's hard now, boys, it was hard in the early 90s. Man up, toughen up, stop whining, make it work. That's what we did. So that's what Eric did. He'd have like a sacrificial website so that when the mail went out and it went to a server and you had the woke people of the early 90s freaking out, they'd take down his site, and the company wouldn't be hurt. Nobody gets hurt. Okay, this is 90. Oh wow, this was advanced. Again, the industry was the corporate people were really slow. So this is 99. Combined phone and web campaign enjoys strong response. Right? This was high innovation. And we'd already been doing it, right? But they were starting to figure it out at the corporate level. And this was in 1999. This is kind of sad. This is wonderful human being. He was our great, great guy, Corey Rudel. Some of you knew him. I can't even believe it, man. I still can't believe it. He died in 2005. I was early. My friend Jonathan Mizell was early. Declan Dunn was early. Um, but we were like old. We were already in our 30s. Corey was in his early 20s, and this kid was on fire, man. And we were lazy compared to him. He was the first guy with a real serious affiliate program on the planet Earth. He foreran or forerunned or whatever you call it, Amazon with the affiliate deal. And this is Dan Kennedy doing a tribute to him. And he says, I get choked up. Great guy, man. Great guy. The wild man, you know. All right. Oh, I had did this thing called traffic school, teaching people how to get traffic. And it's all about traffic and converting traffic. This was great. This was people know who Eugene Schwartz is. Believe me, nobody knew who he was until like the mid 2000s. But I was already, I wouldn't say a best buddy with him, but we would correspond. And he did this great interview with Dick Benson on the mathematics of mail order. And I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to read this tonight. Oh, when you're starting out, you need encouragement, right? You're looking for signs. This is going to work, right? I'm not going to die. I'm not going to starve. So I got this as a Chinese fortune cookie in San Francisco. I blew it up and made it big. You have exceptional ability to understand the fancies of marketing ideas. I thought, oh God, maybe this is a sign. Um, Before I did the system seminar, a guy named Ron LeGrand invited me, and I was still physically recovering from the spine injury that I had in 95. It just hurts. I'm okay now, but just remembering it kind of freaks me out. I don't like to talk about it. And my first job on my feet, where I had to stand on my feet for an hour, because it was hard for me to stand on my feet for an hour in those days. Ouch. Ron LeGrand gave me that opportunity. So to Ron LeGrand, I thank you forever for that. That another thing from DM News. This is late 98, man. If you apply DM discipline, you'll get faster profits on the internet. I was teaching that in 1994. See, the thing that I did, just so everybody understands, there was the internet and there was direct marketing principles, and they didn't talk. Direct marketing people did not want to know about the internet. The internet people did not want to know about marketing. They wanted to be on the information superhighway. They want to do business at the speed of light. And I'm the guy that said, I am the guy. Me. I mean, it's just historical fact. All right. Oh, I love this one too. Okay, this is 2005. The world of podcasting, book publishers. This is almost 20 years ago. Decided to enter the world of podcasting. Now, you have to know this. Um, there was a thing called Napster. Well, first of all, there was, the MP3, everybody, the MP3. Well, that was a big deal. The MP3 was a very important breakthrough. And then there was a thing called Napster, and everybody was able to steal music for the first time. And you had to have a player, I think Winamp, is that what they called it? So you had to have a player. The very first streaming audio on the internet, and there was also a thing called Real Audio. Yeah, and that preceded Napster. It did. And it was really like laborious. You'd have to have to get you have to buy the program, you had to buy it. And then you'd have to download the file and put it in the player and press play. And it was almost like a virtual tape recorder, right? And Napster was a little bit smoother. But the very first time anybody was ever able to push a button, you didn't have to have a player, you didn't have to download anything, just push a button and get streaming audio. This is, of course, audio preceded video, was the System Seminar 2002. And Michael Stewart, who was one of our students, came to me and said, "You know those flash players, Ken?" I said, "Yep." "You know how they're used to play little short animations?" I said, "Yep." He said, "What if we didn't have any visual and we just went 100% audio? We could create something that looked like a push button and people could push it and audio would just instantly stream." I said, "Yes, let's do it." And that's the beginning of podcasting, guys. This is the Agora thing, 2005. whatever. All right, now my office. I'm a collagist. Let me see if I can find some pictures. This was my office. This was my kitchen. People talk about having a business, starting a business on their kitchen table. Well, we just took over the kitchen, and this was the office. That's one view of it. Some of you know Bettina. That's what it looked like. Okay, what else do I have here? My old friend Dan Harvey. I guess that's it. That's pretty much. This is me recovering from my spine injury. Took a long time, guys. Got racked up in April of 95, and I wasn't right till 2000. Um, and here I was before my spine injury. Oh, this is where we had that meeting where the banner ad started. This was 3220 Sacramento in Pacific Heights. This is an amazing building. It was owned by a really cool guy named Henry Dagan. And other tenants included Sovam Teleport. This was the place that connected the Soviet Union to the United States, so that during the Soviet coup, not me, but the guys that ran the company bypassed the Soviet censors using the internet, and it came out of this building, right? When Apple did its that the smartphone and all that stuff, that was in many years of development, right? And this is where they developed it. They had the top floor, and this is where I had my conference on U2 can use, well, not U2, but I think wasn't U2 can use the internet for business. It was, I'm pretty sure we can use the internet for business. I'm not 100% sure how, but here's some thoughts. And Rick Boyce came to this thing, and that's where I explained you can put a little ad on the page and they can click on it, and it will go to a big ad, and you're able to see how many people saw the ad and how many people clicked on the ad. And that's a click-through rate, and that will tell you how efficient your web advertising is. That's where all that started, guys. That's where it all started. All right. Um, This is a notebook from 1992. These were all my ideas about media. Now, remember, the internet was not a factor in 1992, but I was just so fascinated by the evolution of media, past, present, and future. Um, yeah, man, just page after page of speculation on what is media, why does media work, blah blah blah. Okay, uh, I put one of the first museums ever put on the internet was a virtual museum called the Fillmore Museum. And I did it. Fillmore Street's was a really cool street. I don't know what's cool in San Francisco anymore, but it was a really neat street. I lived right off it. Um, and we celebrated because it was a cool street. Like it was the jazz center of San Francisco in the 40s and 50s. And Fillmore Jazz Memories Preserved in Cyberspace. And this was published in 97. I mean, there were a lot of things that did not happen right away until somebody did it. And this was the Western Edition, a little local newspaper. See, I knew I did all this stuff, guys, and I would tell people that, and I'd go, how can anybody believe this? Because I'm just telling them. I wouldn't believe it. Some guy came, first autoresponder, first banner ads, first streaming audio, first one of the first museums online. I mean, you can't possibly have done all this stuff. I mean, do you think I went and printed all these things? Okay, what else have we got here? Might be coming to the end of the really good stuff. I don't know. Oh, I had a book deal with Jay Levinson, Guerrilla Marketing. I backed out for various reasons, but this was the book proposal. This was my contract. And this was, I don't know, it's not dated, but it was early. I pitched him on it. Okay, here's Marty Edelston. I'm very proud of my relationship with him. This goes back to 1995. This is our communication on, I registered their domain name. I got to read this to you guys. 1995. If you should know who Marty Edelston is. If you don't, one of the great direct marketers of all time. Dear Marty, great to hear from you. A couple of points stood out in your letter. If you would think of it as the electronic publishing world instead of the electronic world, you may start to see that the internet is a natural place for Boardroom to be. So as late as September 11th, uh, interesting date, 1995, I had to be working to explain to one of the greatest direct response entrepreneurs of all time that you could publish and make money on the internet, right? And my next line was the internet is a publishing medium, nothing more or nothing less. And then on and on I go. I had forgotten that. Didn't even remember. Oh, here's my recommendations for Boardroom Online. Okay, guys, begin your efforts with one of your publications. Use the test publication as a laboratory for the other publications to learn from. Okay, you ready for this one? Start with an email-based system and develop multimedia website only after the email publication proves successful. This is advice from 1995. All right, here's the new profits you can make for Boardroom Online. More money for your lists, because that was their real business, was selling lists. Hold on to your subscribers longer, and that was very important to them, and sell more. New products. I recommend offering iPower. That was one of their things. Really great thing. Get the iPower book. It's really good. I recommend offering iPower online for free in the beginning since it is an experiment. Wow, iPower was an experiment at this point. However, I see no reason why special weekly in-depth electronic versions of your publication could not be sold to current subscribers as a premium service for an additional $19.95 or $29.95 a year. Now that would be per month. There you go. And here was the pathway of development for Boardroom. Okay. Oh, remember? Okay. I know it's a big claim, and I showed you some evidence, but here's the rest of the evidence. This is all the correspondence between me and my programmer, not all of it, but a lot of it, on how to develop this, what did I call it? The mail machine. Okay, let me see if I can, and okay, here's the date, July 4th, 1995. I mean, listen to what we had to be thinking about in those days. You guys have no idea. Everybody that complains, man, give me a break, man. You have no idea how hard it was. About the email list thing, envision this. Every script you have that picks up email addresses just runs a quick script and throws the email into a general pot. It then gets checked, alphabetized, etc., etc. When you need to, you hit a web page in some secure location on your server and type in your mail message. Then you hit send and it goes to everyone on the list. Voila, no copy, paste, etc. Wow. And he's saying it would take about 2 hours to script that because it didn't exist. And then we go on and on and on. Let's see what else is in here. And we're working on the domain service together. Interesting proposal. Yeah. So proof. Proof. And then I had all these things where I spent so much time just trying to explain what the hell the internet was and that it was real and that you could use it, you can make money from it. This was an insert letter to people that had bought a product. Welcome to the internet. Um, this was the recordings. I hope I can find them. They're somewhere of that May meeting where we had this fellow Mark Fleischman, who was the very first commercial web developer in history. He was the first guy who did it full time. And then Mark Graham was called Mr. Internet in those days. And he was an important mentor, helpful person got to me. Now, conspiracy stuff and putting the truth on the internet, right? That's a big topic now. 1997, Howard Rheingold, and he's talking about that there was a lot of misinformation about the new media on the old media. In other words, they were dissing us quite a bit because we were stealing their lunch. And one of the people he mentions as an online journalist, because there weren't many of them in 1997, was me. Uh, Although online journalist Ken McCarthy doesn't have the reach of the traditional mass media, he was able to use his e-media website to sift through scores of stories and publish dozens of serious inconsistencies in the media reports, police investigations, and much quoted sources. Um, and then McCarthy says the mass media condemned the internet, uh, but it wasn't the internet that made this madman a star. I don't know if you remember Marshall Applewhite. It's a long story. CNN and ABC did that. They're the ones that made that guy, crazy guy, famous. The net ignored him. Time and People and Newsweek were the ones that put him on the covers. The inconsistencies and falsehoods uncovered by McCarthy's investigative journalism point to the failure of traditional journalists to get the facts in their rush to cash in on sensationalist aspects of the Heaven Gate story. So in 95, I gave that local how to do local marketing on the internet, the first conference ever. And I waited for people to take me up on the idea. Nobody did squat. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to show people how to be a journalist online. So I did this. I did a few sort of sample where I played at being a journalist, and I found out it's pretty easy to be a good journalist because most journalists suck. And as early as 1997, I was being featured as one of the great online journalists of 1997. Ah, and then I love this. I love this. Let's see if I got a date on this one. This will blow your mind. Maybe not. Okay, this is 1995. Brand new breed. Those who sell space on websites. Right? Remember, the guy that launched that as a thing was a student of ours who we trained in June of 1994. And as late as 1995, the whole concept of selling ad space on the internet was like, wow, I can't wrap my mind around this, man. It's so, wow. And then remember I showed you the list of all the people selling online. It was amazing. The list was like, there were like 500 listings. I don't even think there were 500 listings in that thing. Maybe 200 stores on the internet. Can you believe it? All right. This was the list. And let's see, when was this published? I'm going to guess this was 95. This was the list of all the places you could buy ads online. By the way, no Google or any of that stuff. That's it, guys. Page 1, page 2. And this was the Internet Publishing Alert. And I'm probably making a lot of noise with that paper there. You could here's the numbers. NSCA, what's new page. That was a big deal. Old timers will remember. There was a page, there was a website. It was very popular. And it would say, what's new on the internet today? Hey, there's 3 brand new sites. Here's a hamster in a cage. That's cool. All right. So listen to this, guys. You could get 2 million visitors a month for $7,500 a week. So basically, what is that? 30, 60,000. Oh man. You get 60,000. They called them visitors. I think it was clicks or hits. And who advertised on that? Zima. Remember Zima? Does Zima even exist anymore? And something called Clear Malt. I guess it's not as easy to start a new beer brand as I thought. Pathfinder, Time Magazine, for $30,000 a month, you could get 500,000 hits a day. Well, okay. Prodigy was selling for 4,000 a week. They don't tell you what you would get. Zima and Clear Malt were advertising again. Hotwire, that was Rick Boyce. That was my guy. 15,000 a month. You would get, they had a lot of hits, boy. 250,000 hits a day. That's hits, though, not visitors. Right? One visitor might trigger, that was a little trick they were playing. One visitor might create 100 hits. This graphic, there's an audio, this graphic, that graphic, this page. So half a million hits a day. Who are their advertisers? Ameritech, AT&T, Bell Atlantic, Saturn, Volvo, Club, I guess Club Med, Club Me, probably Club Med, and on and on. The Internet Mall, the Internet Mall had 6,200 visitors a day. Okay. That was the Internet Mall. That was all the commercial where remember, you couldn't use a credit card initially to buy stuff online. It wasn't secure. So, and you'd have to pay 40,000 bucks for 3 months. And who was on there? Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. Um, only 7,500 a month. Now Netscape had it made and they blew it. When you went to your web browser, what would come up? The Netscape homepage, and then you'd take off. So for a short shine, remember I said I was the most famous guy in internet commerce for about 5 months? Um, Netscape was the place that every single web browser went to as their first stop every time they logged on. They owned that. And they were giving free links to Yahoo, right? No Google then. And Yahoo and some of the other companies. And then their CEO, Jim Barksdale, the great business genius of all time, said, we got to start charging for that, boys. And we want 5,000 a month for that link. Yahoo couldn't afford it. So they had to get investors. And once they got investors, they started to become their own thing. And suddenly Yahoo became the place where people went. And Netscape became inconsequential. Uh, who else we had all kinds of weird, something called the Flashback, something called NandoNet, something called Webster, the Net Surfer Digest, um, Trib.com. Okay, here's Time Magazine. They had 17,000 visitors a day. Polaroid, Apple, Merrill Lynch, and Nissan were advertisers. That was it, guys. This is where you could advertise on the internet when I was playing. Okay, remember I said I wrote the first book that appeared in Japan on the internet? If you can read, I forget what you call, there's all these different Japanese scripts. Um, but somewhere my name is here. Okay, now I had one, you saw one of my newsletters. Then in 95, I started another print newsletter, Net Ventures. And the subhead was In-Depth Profiles of Internet-Based Ventures. This is the May-June 1995 edition. And what was our subject? The power of the electronic press unleashed. And what were we talking about? Were we talking about websites and how groovy and cool the web was? We were talking about email and what an ass kicker email was. And this dude already had 150,000 email subscribers in 95. This guy was a rock star. His name was John McLaughlin. And no one paid him any mind, but I did. It's all documented. We got, I think, how many pages is this fellow? This is eight pages of in-depth interview with a guy that was smart enough to have 150,000 email subscribers in 1995. And he like that. All right, I don't know what date this was, but here was an amazing concept. As internet commerce heats up, connections between websites are up for sale. In other words, buying and selling links. This was a front page story because it was rocking the world. It was such a wild concept. And I can tell you, the first time a website put an ad with a link to it on its homepage, there was a riot online. The woke people of that era thought it was the most horrific thing. Okay, this was September 10th, 1995. The idea of like links being valuable, having a cash value, it's like, what? Okay, remember I said we were a manual primitive domain name registry. This was one of our clients. Ever heard of Sam Ash Music Corporation? I don't know if they're still in business, but they were a big music store, guitars and stuff like that. We registered their domain name in addition to Bottom Line or Boardroom. Um, Here we are in 1998, and the New York market matures. I remember when I went back to New York from San Francisco, and I heard, like, I was at a table eating, and someone from another table, I heard the word internet. I'm like, holy shit, they're doing it out here too in New York. So the headline is execs and sales staff are the hottest as firms focus on the bottom line. So that they were looking for people that were internet savvy in New York City in 98. They were a little slow to the party. Um, this is a magazine that I was featured in Japan. Um, this again, the mid 90s. There we are. Do I still have that shirt? It's a cool shirt. I think I dressed better then. I had more hair. I look at my hair and I go like, did I dye my? No, that was my. I actually once had brown hair. Anyway, that's that. What else do I have in here? Oh, this was another chart I put up to educate to remind myself of what it was all about. This is the pipeline. This is the inputs, your marketing inputs. And what's this? This is a funnel, circa 1995. And I said, what matters, guys? Cost per inquiry, cost per sale, lifetime value of customer, the internet, and making money on the internet explained in 1995. Again, here, and it just shows you how hard I was working and for how long. This is 91 again, where I was trying to figure out how to sell software online. Um, this is my first venture in San Francisco was marketing solutions for mortgage investors, and this was all the checks I received. I got 2 checks with $1 each in them. It was a lead gen. I'd send them a free report called Five Steps to Something. I don't even remember what it was. And I would write down how many leads, how many came in, like the date, the name, the last name of the buyer. What the hell? I mean, what? And I just did that, and I just kept track. And from this, I built a $100,000 a year business, literally, all direct mail. Because when I got a lead, man, I never let it get cold. All right, now I was trying when I did remember I said I had a domain name registry, so I wanted to understand what I was doing. I never figured out what I was doing. But anyway, I got this thing with all these technical things about like technical information on the domain registration process. Look at all this that people had to know to register. It was mad, man. It was crazy. Um, this was just sort of a general, I'm not sure what this was, just trying to notes to myself. It's really important. I'm really afraid that kids aren't using paper and ink. It's the greatest thing. It's still the greatest tool. Um, the guy that inspired me so much, this was Dan's newsletter way back when in 93. Um, this is cool. Now, I'm missing something really important. Oh, well, I'll see if I can find it later. This was the hottest thing before the internet took off. The miracle of recorded messages. So your ad would have it still works, by the way. Your ad would have an 800 number. I don't know who did this. This was done by Automated Marketing Solutions. And let's see, is there a date here? No. But this was definitely pre-internet. You would run an 800 number, people would call and they would hear a voice saying, hey, would you like to, lose 100 pounds or whatever? If you do, just leave your name and address and we'll send you a free report. And of course, now they've got a lead. Uh, this was cool. This was something that I wrote about the history of the catalog business, right? So you had Montgomery Ward and Sears catalog because that was my model. That was my vision for okay, how are we going to make money on the internet? Because that was not a clear thing at all. Um, oh, and this I think you know what? I think I am missing. I thought I had more in this thing that I had. I'm missing a few things, but as you can see, there's a lot in here. Um, this is the second half of my article, Why We Will Not Have Interactive TV, which again was where everybody thought everything was going. It was going to be interactive TV. And of course, have you seen any interactive TV around? I haven't. Maybe YouTube has become that, but uh, it's not what they envisioned. Time Warner thought they were going to control all interactive TV, and the only content would come from them. Didn't work out that way, and I didn't want it to work out that way. I was opposed to that, and that was one of the reasons I put so much effort into it. One, I wanted to make money. Two, it was really interesting. Three, I wanted a decentralized information environment. I wanted everybody's voice to be heard. If you had something to say, something to teach, I wanted you to be able to teach it and have a platform because there was no way to do it. I mean, there were ways to do it. Okay, there were, but it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, and the internet obviously has made it just absurdly easy. If somebody has a body of knowledge, a body of expertise, and they want to share it, you can do it. You can make money from it. You can make a living. Some people can make a fantastic living from it. Many people are making a fantastic living from it. And it's not inaccurate to say it all started in San Francisco in the early 1990s. And it's really not inaccurate to say that one of the people that figured it out on a very foundational level, email is the king, the autoresponder is the most important thing, clicks are worth money, streaming media should be push button, not download the file and put it in your player. You should be using direct marketing principles on the internet, not wishful thinking. All these things were first articulated by yours truly. So that's what we're going to be celebrating on or around November 5th. If all goes well, my book, How the Web Was Won, will be ready to buy, and you'll be able to hear more of these stories. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I hope you found this enjoyable. If so, let me know. I don't know if I was just ranting and raving, but I'm interested in history myself. And if you've been around a while, you know that this is how it went down. And thank God I saved the papers. I honestly, until we went through that massive confusion upstairs in the attic, I had no idea that I had any of this stuff. I found really cool things like I found my very first library card. And I have to say, it's still my most prized possession. I got it when I was 7, and it said I was born in '59, right? So it said expires 1970, and this was '67 when I got it. And I remember first being so amazed. You mean any book? I can take any book? Like I can just take a book home with my own card? I thought that I still think that's the most amazing thing ever. In fact, I told Bettina, bury me with that thing, man. That sums up everything for me. Um, the other thing that blew my mind was 1970. Like, we'll probably have flying cars in 1970. We'll probably be going to Mars in 1970. I thought 1970 would never come, and when it did come, it was going to be unbelievable. So that's one of the treasures, personal treasures I found there. Um, so anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I hope you found this entertaining. Maybe you learned a few things, and hope it whets your appetite for the book, which will be coming, and it's called How the Web Was Won: Spills, Chills, and Thrills on the Early Information Superhighway by somebody who was there.